My beloved child, you still think your slips and falls make me turn my face away, make the gates of heaven slam shut as though every mistake were recorded in ink that cannot be erased. But what I see in you is not only your faults, but also that small longing to come home. Heaven does not judge you by your moments of weakness, but by the journey of your getting back up. Do not think I come only on the days you are smiling. It is precisely when you are most weary that I act most powerfully. Do not let anxiety veil the eyes of your spirit, for there are miracles already prepared, simply waiting for your heart to be at peace so it can receive them. Faith is not born on easy days, but in those moments when it seems every door has closed before you. On the day Elijah collapsed beneath the broom tree, he no longer had breath left to pray, only enough despair to say, "Lord, I've had enough." But instead of rebuking him, I sent an angel with bread and water for him twice, not merely so he could rest, but so he would have strength for the greater journey ahead. Do you see? I do. My mightiest work not when my people are strong, but when they are so exhausted they cannot stand on their own. You often fear that you are too weak, yet it is precisely in that weariness that miracles begin to germinate. I do not wait for you to be perfect before I draw near. I come to you when you are trembling, when your heart feels as though it has no light left to cling to. True. Faith does not blossom in peaceful days, but in those moments when you have only one choice left. Either trust me or collapse. And when you choose to trust, even with nothing more than a fragile breath, all of heaven moves in response to that decision. There are times when you ask, "Lord, where are you when I am this torn and confused?" I am still there, but the noise of your anxiety is so loud it drowns out my whisper. It is not that I am silent. It is that your mind is being dragged toward the worst possibilities, so that you no longer recognize the presence covering you moment by moment. Worry is always the thickest veil, hiding miracles not because the miracles do not come, but because you are no longer still enough to see them. Remember, I never call you to a half-hearted faith. Those who pray only out of habit will touch only quietness. Those who pray with a broken heart will see the heavens open. I do not need you to be stronger. I only need you to trust enough to surrender. For miracles do not come when you set conditions, but when you allow me to act in my own way. And at times that way makes you feel as though I am delaying, when in truth I am arranging what is most perfect for you. My child, there are moments when it seems as though everything is standing still, yet in the spiritual realm the heavens are stirring violently because of your prayers. The miracle has not vanished. It is simply waiting for your spirit to be aligned in the right place, to receive it. I continue to work in the unseen realm, where you cannot see, cannot hear, cannot feel, yet everything I do is moving closer toward you. The delay you fear is in fact the time I use to make everything as precise as possible for your life. I have never been silent. I have only been preparing. My dear one, I know your heart at times becomes heavy as stone, convinced that my silence means you have been abandoned. But child, even when the sky before you is thick with fog, it does not mean I am absent. Many times you allow your earthly eyes to determine your faith, letting passing emotions overshadow what I am doing in the deeper layers of the spirit. I see your restlessness, and I see the confusion you try to hide behind forced smiles. Yet it is when your soul is most unsteady that I work the most, because only when every earthly support has fallen do you begin to look toward me. And in that darkness that seems so still, I have already sown movements that one day you will recognize, and you will break down in tears, realizing I had never left you. You often ask, why do I see nothing if you are truly at work? My child, there are things I can complete, only in secrecy. For if I laid everything bare, your heart would rush to take control and you would lose the very growth you most need. Your eyes are limited by time and space, while what I am arranging transcends both. I realign relationships, turn circumstances around, touch things you never imagined, yet you take the waiting as a sign of being forgotten. It is anxiety itself that makes you too dulled to sense my gentle footsteps. There are times I long to pour out grace, but your spirit is not yet ready to receive. For a miracle is not merely a gift, but the harmony between your heart and my will. Do you remember Naaman, the powerful commander who carried leprosy? When I told him to go down to the Jordan and bathe 7 times, it felt absurd to him, and he became angry, because he wanted a miracle he could see at once, receive at once, in the way he had imagined. But, look deeper, it was not the river water that healed him. It was obedience that opened the door to the miracle, already waiting in the unseen realm. Had he focused only on his offended feelings, he would have missed what I had long prepared. In the same way, there are many things I have already released for you that are held back by doubt and an overly earthly perspective. When Naaman finally stepped into that seemingly ordinary water, he touched the extraordinary, and so will you, when you learn to place your trust beyond what your eyes can see. My child, I do not want you to trust me only when everything is favorable. I want you to recognize that I am moving even when silence seems to surround you. Let your spirit be still, for only in quietness can you clearly hear the movements of heaven on your behalf. Do not seek me only in the noise of miracles. Seek me in the most ordinary breath, in the doors not yet opened, in the tears you imagine I do not see. Each time you return in trust, that harmony draws the miracle one step closer. I do not demand that you be strong. I only ask that you come back honestly, so I can continue to work in my way, not hurriedly, but always precisely. And when your heart grows quiet, you will discover that what you have been waiting for has never left my hands. Let me tell you this, my beloved. What keeps you far from the miracle is not my silence, but the things that seize your attention each day. I see you trying to believe, and I also see the distractions quietly pulling you out of the peace I desire for you. When your mind is divided, you easily think I am late, while in reality, it is those very distractions that cause you to lose the rhythm I am setting for you. I do not scold you. I simply want you to be awake, enough to discern which voice is mine and which belongs to fear. For once you let your heart be gathered and focused again, the spiritual movements you thought were hidden will gradually become clearer than ever. You will come to see that some of your greatest losses were not because I failed to act, but because you unknowingly stepped away from the attentiveness I had invited you into. My dear child, I want to say this gently yet clearly. There are blessings that have come very near, but with just a brief wavering of heart, they slip from your grasp. Not because I take them back, but because your mind is swept up in the noise of life. Things that seem harmless, yet quietly steal the focus your spirit needs in order to recognize me. You look at your circumstances and sigh, thinking I am slow to act, when in fact it is worry and haste that cause you to lose the rhythm of my leading. I see that you want to believe, yet I also see the flickering thoughts pulling you out of the place of peace I have prepared. And only when you stop will you realize that what you called silence was in fact the interruption arising from your own heart. Many times I call you in the tiniest moments, a gentle wave of peace, an inner prompting, a sudden desire for what is good, yet your mind is too busy to hear. You give priority to worry over my word, to negative assumptions over the promises I have spoken. You think you must hear something grand and loud for it to be my voice, yet you forget that I usually speak in a whisper, so that you may quiet yourself to seek me. When your heart is pulled in too many directions, my presence seems foreign, not because I have left you, but because you are stepping away from the stillness in which you can receive me. If you knew how precious your focus is to heaven, you would guard it as a treasure. Do you remember Martha and Mary? Martha was busy and anxious about many things, thinking she was serving me in the best way, yet her heart was in turmoil and utterly exhausted. Mary, on the other hand, simply sat at my feet and listened. And I said she had chosen the better part, not because she did more, but because she knew how to stop. Do you see? Distraction caused Martha to miss the most important thing right in front of her, the presence speaking to her. In the same way, you have often passed by the moments when I longed to pour my blessing into your life simply because your mind was too busy to receive it. Miracles are not only for those who strive, but for those who know how to sit down with me. My child, I do not blame you for the days when your heart is scattered. I understand you are trying to live, trying to cope, trying to manage everything on your own. But I want you to know this. Every minute you choose to fix your eyes on your worries is a minute you turn your back on the peace I am offering. The more you focus on what is negative, the duller your spirit becomes, and the dimmer the revelation I have for you grows. Come back not by doing more, but by where you set your gaze. You only need to lift your eyes, step out of the whirlwind of thoughts that is pulling you down, and you will see that I am still standing there, waiting for your heart to return. Your attention is the key that opens the door of blessing. I know your heart does not wander on purpose. It is just that life is sometimes so loud that it pulls your heart away from the holy place where I long for you to dwell. But if you will allow your spirit to be still, even for a moment, you will begin to notice what I have long desired to show you. You will see the small yet meaningful signs, the inner confirmations, the guidance I have placed right in front of your feet that you previously walked past without noticing. I am not asking you to be perfect, only to be attentive, for only those who persist in listening to the end fully see what I long to give. And my dear one, when you begin to guard that focus within yourself, the things that once seemed random will become as clear as the light of dawn. You will see my hand in every circumstance, my face behind every door that opens or closes. When your mind is no longer distracted, my presence becomes so easy to recognize that you will find yourself asking, "Why have I never seen this before?" My beloved, there are moments when I see in your eyes a very real longing. You want to trust me completely, yet your heart so easily leans toward what you can control. I understand this, because you are still wounded, still afraid of being disappointed, still thinking that if you do not hold everything together yourself, your life will fall apart. But my love does not invite you to strain like that. I only want you to know that true faith is not built on what your eyes can see, but on your willingness to place your hand in mine, even when the road ahead is still dark. As you lay down your burdens and allow me to lead, the very things you are searching for will come to you themselves, as gently as a breath. Sometimes you secretly think that your prayers are nothing more than a habit, repeated over and over without bringing anything new. But I do not look at your words, I look at the heartbeat behind them. If you pray only to soothe your fear, you will encounter silence. But if you pray from a place of trust, even just a little, the spiritual heavens begin to shift. There are many things you do not realize I have already answered, simply because you have not been still enough to notice the doors opening before you. In the moments when you pray without conditions, without forcing me to respond in the way you expect, that is when you are opening the door for me to work wonders in my own way. And that faith, light as a speck of dust, still holds the power to shake the very heavens. Do you remember Abraham's journey? He left his father's house and stepped into a land he had never seen, simply because I said, "Go." No map, no guarantees, no visible proof, only a word spoken out of love. It was that surrender which made him the father of many nations, not because he was perfect, but because he placed his trust above the calculations of his own reason. If Abraham had waited for everything to be clear before he moved, he would never have seen what I had promised. In the same way, you cannot touch the grace I have prepared for you if you only believe what you can understand. Many glorious paths are already waiting for you, just awaiting that first step of trust. My child, I know your heart is afraid to place everything in my hands because you have been hurt many times when you put your hope in people. But I am not like them. I do not promise and then forget, receive and then abandon, love and then change. When you hold back a part for yourself, a backup plan, a hidden fear, a worst-case assumption, you are unknowingly closing the very door I long to fling wide open. I do not condemn you. I simply want you to know that your surrender is the key that draws the miracle nearer. You do not have to be strong first and then give yourself to me, for it is precisely as you give yourself that I will make you strong. And when you begin to trust me with all your heart, not with mere calculation, you will find yourself stepping into a different light. The things you once strained to hold on to will grow lighter and drift away like clouds. The fears that clung so tightly to you will begin to fall off, little by little. For wholehearted faith not only draws miracles near, it also heals the deepest corners of your soul, the places you have long hidden from me because you thought I would be disappointed. But I have never been disappointed in you. The only thing that saddens me is when you do not dare to give me what is weighing you down. And when you understand this, You will be ready to enter territories you once feared, to tread the places I have prepared for your life to blossom. You will see that true faith is not walking along a broad, easy road, but daring to keep going even when you do not fully understand what I am doing. And that very walking will lead you into a deeper truth. The pain, the nights of darkness, the broken places you once feared are not signs of abandonment, but the process I use to reshape your soul. When you realize this, you will no longer fear the dark, because you will know I am still at work even when all the lights of your life seem to go out. You will understand that these trials do not come to crush you, but to prepare you for something far greater than you imagine. My dear one, I have seen the times you buried your face in your hands and wept, thinking you were walking through a stretch of road where even the light itself did not dare to stay. In those days, you imagined I was standing far away, only watching and not intervening. But you did not know that in those very moments that felt like abandonment, I was standing closest to you. I gently gathered each fragment of your soul that you no longer had the strength to hold, and I reshaped them with endless patience. Let me tell you this, your pain is not proof that you are cursed. It is a sign that I am preparing you for something you are not yet big enough to receive. You once thought the wounds in your life were the final full stop, but in truth, they are only the pauses I use to write a new symphony. You cannot see the process, so you rush to conclude that everything is going wrong. Yet you do not see how I am, quietly pulling up toxic roots, healing hurts you thought were long gone but have in fact never been properly cared for. I know there are moments when you blame me for letting you walk through the desert, but you have not yet understood that no one can carry great blessing without first learning how to stand firm in a barren place. The desert does not take you away. The desert forges you into the person even you never imagined you could become. Remember Joseph, the boy of dreams who was sold, falsely accused, and forgotten in a dark prison. Had I answered Joseph's cry right there in the pit, he would never have been prepared to stand before Pharaoh and save an entire nation. Those dark years were not punishment. They were the school where I sharpened his wisdom, his patience, and his faithfulness. And when the time came, every pain Joseph had endured became the very evidence that allowed me to entrust him with something great. It is the same with you. What you are enduring now is not meant to destroy you, but to testify before heaven that you are strong enough to carry what I am about to place in your hands. My child, I see the things you carry deep within your heart, the hidden sacrifices no one knows about, the times you chose what was right and paid for it with loneliness, the nights you whispered your prayers and no one heard but me. Those are not forgotten moments. They are the evidence by which heaven records that you are growing in a way no miracle could ever create in a single night. I do not build your future on the mistakes of your past. I build it on the perseverance you have shown each time you stood back up. Even when you see yourself as small, I see you growing in my eyes, not because of what you have achieved, but because of all the times you did not give up. There will come a day when you look back and realize that the very longest nights became the firmest foundation for your future. No one likes pain, but if you could see how it has opened doors that comfort could never open, you might thank me for not plucking you out of the trial too soon. I am leading you to a place where you need to be stronger, deeper, more mature. And when you step out of this dark valley, you will not only carry a miracle for yourself, but also a flame that will light the way for others who are wandering as you once were. And when your heart has been refined to be soft enough to love, yet strong enough to stand, you will slowly realize that what I am doing in you is not only for you. You are being prepared for an influence that will reach beyond your own lifetime, and that blessing, my child, will not stop with you. My beloved, perhaps you have not yet realized something very important. Every step you take, every tear you shed, every whispered prayer you breathe does not only touch your own life, but flows out to those who will come after you. The blessing I place in your hands is never meant to end with you. It is designed to flow through you like a stream, refreshing the hearts that are bound to your lineage. You think you are simply trying to live well for your own sake, but I see an entire generation being lifted up because of the faithfulness you offer me in your hardest days. Your quiet perseverance is stronger than you think, for it opens spiritual doors that many close to you do not yet have the faith to open for themselves. Sometimes you think your prayers are too small to move anything great, but in the spiritual realm, your quiet petitions have the power to shift things that have seemed unmoved for many years. You intercede for your family, your loved ones, those you cherish, and you do not realize that each whispered prayer is pushing back darkness they cannot see. I have watched you kneel so many times when no one else knew, and those very moments have created a protection stronger than any earthly fence. You do not need to see results immediately. As long as you remain steadfast, I will do the rest in my holy silence. Remember the story of Ruth, the foreign woman who thought she was only looking for a little leftover grain in the fields. Yet that small act of faithfulness brought her into the very lineage of King David and, later, of the Savior. A single act of kindness, one loyal choice, one unyielding trust, these seemingly insignificant things became a spring of blessing for an entire generation. Do you see? It is not only the brightest lamp that shapes history. Sometimes a single match struck in the night kindles a fire that never goes out. And so it is with you. What you are doing in secret will bear fruit far greater than you imagine, even for those who do not know you are praying for them. My child, I want you to understand that when I lift you up, I do not place blessing in your hands just for you to enjoy. I place it there so that you may become a living testimony. Every wound you have overcome will bring healing to someone carrying the same pain. Every spiritual victory you gain will become strength for weary souls trying to rise once more. The blessing I give is not only meant to change your life, but to make you a doorway through which hope can enter those who are groping in the dark. You have walked through the fire, so you will know how to lead others out of the flames without being burned. And when you accept that this flow of blessing is not only for yourself, you will feel your heart being stretched in a mysterious way. You will no longer live only for today, but for days yet to come. You will no longer pray only for yourself, but for every soul connected to you by love and by blood. You will see that each step you take carries a spiritual weight, not because I am placing a burden on you, but because you are becoming someone I can use to change the spiritual atmosphere of an entire family. And that is when you will understand that your story does not end when you are blessed, but when you become a blessing to others, just as I have desired from the very beginning. My beloved child, at this point your journey is no longer simply the private story of one person. It has already touched a spiritual realm far wider than you realize. That is why, right now, what you need is not more activity, not more plans, but a heart that knows how to sit still and listen. Not listening just to say you have listened, not listening to ease your guilt, but listening with the ears of your soul, so that every word I speak finds a place to land deep within you. Many people pass through my presence, hear stories about me, feel moved for a moment, and then walk on as if nothing ever happened. But there are also hearts that choose to stop, to sit quietly at my feet, allowing every promise, every correction, every word of encouragement to soak down into the very roots of their lives. Do you see the difference? One simply hears the news. The other lets that truth become their very flesh and blood. I am not seeking ears that only enjoy sweet words. I am seeking hearts that are willing to let my word shape them, cleanse them, prune them, and transform them. There are many times when you think, I've heard so much. Already, I know all this. I can recite those scriptures by heart. But my child, knowing with your mind and letting that word become the rhythm of your life are two entirely different things. A sentence about hope can sound beautiful on your lips, but it only truly becomes faith when you allow it to pass through sleepless nights, weary mornings, and evenings when you feel like letting go. It is at that very border between hearing just to know and accepting in order to be renewed that I am watching. I see how your heart grows discouraged at times, how you grow tired, how you feel like giving up because you have waited so long without seeing change. Yet I also see the moments when you try to come back, try to refocus, try to open your heart to listen one more time. Do not underestimate those small attempts. To heaven, they are a clear sign that you have not given up. You are standing very close to a turning point that you yourself do not fully grasp. It is no accident that in these recent days your heart has been easily unsettled, your thoughts unstable, your emotions easily swept away by the words of others. When a spiritual door is about to open, there will always be currents of wind blowing against you to make you hesitate. You begin to hear the whispers. You're overreacting. Do you really need to believe that much? What do you gain from sacrificing like that? Don't be so spiritually dreamy, be more realistic. These words may even come from those very close to you, those you love and respect. They pierce your heart gently, not enough to make you collapse at once, but enough to leave you confused, doubting, wondering if you have taken the wrong path. Let me remind you of this. Not every voice that sounds reasonable comes from me. Some words are wrapped in the packaging of reality, concern, and just wanting what's best for you. Yet they are quietly pulling you away from the very place where I want you to stand. As you draw closer to what I have promised, the pressure around you will not lessen. More often, it will increase. That is not a sign that you are on the wrong path. Many times it is evidence that you are moving toward the very center of my purpose. Remember how many times you have wanted to go back to your old way of living simply because you were tired. You wanted to go easier on yourself, to compromise a little, to loosen your guard because it felt too hard to keep yourself set apart. But, my child, those moments when you chose to remain set apart in the midst of mockery, to stay steadfast under contemptuous looks, to keep your heart tender toward me even while being misunderstood, that was when your steps were heaviest, but also when they shone the brightest on your spiritual journey. It is not only when you stand on the heights, recognized by everyone, that I delight in you. It is precisely when you walk through stretches where no one applauds, that I nod in quiet approval the most. I want you to see a little more broadly. If what I am preparing for you were only a small and ordinary blessing, the enemy would not try so hard to disturb your heart. It is precisely because the gift prepared for you carries an impact beyond yourself that the opposing forces are not gentle. They cannot touch my hand, so they try to make your hand let go. They cannot break the word I have spoken, so they scheme to lure you away from the place where you receive that word. They have no authority to shut the door I have opened, but they will keep you busy, confused, and compromised until you are no longer standing at the threshold when the appointed time comes. That is why I earnestly remind you, you must hold your ground, not by straining to fight everyone and everything, but by choosing to remain in me, keeping your mind anchored to what I have spoken, rather than to the clamoring voices that crowd your thoughts each day. The closer it comes to the time when I fulfill what I have promised, the more specific, deeper, and more piercing my words to you will become, reaching into the very corners you once hid. You may feel confronted, exposed, or as though I am calling out the dark areas you have long tried to ignore. Do not be quick to fear or to feel ashamed. I do not expose you to humiliate you. I shine my light so that you will no longer be bound. When I point out the habits that are quietly suffocating your liver, faith comparison, resentment, doubt, procrastination, it is not to condemn you but to set you free. You can hear those corrections as an offense, or you can receive them as an alarm bell waking you before it is too late. The difference lies here. Whether you listen with a defensive heart, or with a heart that longs to be changed. I see the moments when you wrestle within yourself. One part of you wants to run back to the old things, the old relationships, the old patterns of living, because they feel easier to breathe in. Another part keeps urging you to keep going, keep believing, keep praying, even though nothing guarantees that tomorrow will look any different from today. That tug of war is not proof of your weakness. It is a sign that you are standing on a very fragile line between a life being lifted higher and a life circling back into the old cycle. One step forward toward me, and you will enter a new phase of your journey. One step back toward what was, and you will have to walk many more circles in the desert. I am not trying to intimidate you. I only want you to see the weight of the decision before you. This is not merely about hearing one more message and then moving on. It is about how you will choose to live from tomorrow onward. Take a little time, withdraw yourself from the noise, and ask your own heart again, what do I truly want? If all you desire is a safe life, with few storms, without criticism, without testing, then you can make peace with the voices urging you to loosen your grip on faith. But if you truly long to see my hand move in power, then it is time for you to dare to make an exchange. I will never force you to choose, but I will always invite you to step out of the emotional comfort zone into the realm of true peace in me. On one side is outward calm, yet inward restlessness. On the other, there may be many challenges, but your spirit will be set upon a solid rock. You cannot cling to both at the same time. Remember, I do not love you any less because you hesitate, and I do not give up on you because you have drawn back in the past. But every time you choose to return, to refocus, to listen again, you are giving me permission to intervene more deeply in your life. What I desire to do now is no longer just to comfort you temporarily, but to rebuild your foundations. I want to teach you how to discern my voice among a multitude of others, so that later, when even greater storms come, you will no longer be swept away as easily as before. I am training you gently, yet very seriously, because I see in you a spiritual potential that perhaps you yourself have not yet recognized. In time, you will realize that no moment of your life is meaningless when you choose to listen to me. These little conversations between us today, the times you choose to hear rather than ignore, to remember rather than brush aside, will be what keeps you standing firm in the days ahead. I have already arranged circumstances, people, and timing so that everything will come together as a beautiful picture at the exact moment I have ordained. No power can rewrite what I have signed my name to. No accusation can erase the promise I have sealed over your life. The only thing the enemy can attempt is to push you out of the place where you stand. But my child, you do not fight alone. I am right beside you, and my hand is still holding yours. And so, what I long for in you right now is not another new promise, but faithfulness to what you have already heard. You do not need to accomplish something great to keep the blessing. You simply need to keep standing, keep turning your heart toward me, keep giving greater weight to my voice than to any other sound. When you honor this present moment, treating it as a sacred meeting between you and me, you will not so easily let trivial matters, comments from others, or worries about the future steal your focus. This is the moment when I am whispering to you about the details of the promise, about the next steps you need to take, about what you must let go of and what you must hold on to. If you lose your attention now, you will miss important instructions for the road just ahead. My dear one, once more I invite you to slow down. Breathe in deeply, exhale slowly, and set every noise aside, even just for a moment, so that there is room in your heart for me to speak. Do not let this moment slip away. Like so many others, do not treat this as just another piece of text to be read and forgotten. Allow my words to sink deep and remain. For when you decide to keep this moment as something holy, you are handing me the right to lead all the days that are coming. And there, you will see that what I have prepared for you has never been small. I have simply been waiting for you to be still enough, focused enough, and willing enough to receive. My beloved child, linger a little longer, for what is moving around you now is no longer just the small inner stirrings you have often felt. They are becoming great waves, quiet yet powerful, shifting an entire part of your life that you once believed you lacked the strength to change. The invisible keys I have placed in your hand through each season of testing are beginning to turn, one notch at a time, opening doors you never even dared to approach before. There are doors that have been shut in your family for many years, limits that have clung to your bloodline for generations, pains passed down by those who went before you, though they never wished it, and now, in this moment that seems so ordinary, I am preparing to break them all, by means of the perseverance you have sown. You do not realize that your quiet tears have become seeds. You do not see that every intercessory prayer you whispered in the night has become water poured over a field that heaven has marked out for your family alone. And now, the time of harvest is drawing very near. I want you to understand this clearly. The spiritual doors do not open only when you feel strong or filled with hope. They open even when you are weak, when you tremble, when you think you have nothing left to offer. You see nothing changing, but I see everything. You hear no movement, but I hear every hinge slowly loosening. Everything I do in the unseen realm always goes ahead of your emotions. The unveiling comes last, not because I am slow, but because you must be mature enough to receive it in the right way. My intervention is never clumsy, never rushed. Every step is arranged with precision, like the lines of a design I already wrote in the book about you before you were born. And now that book is being opened to a new page, fuller, stronger, carrying the very things you once asked for with nothing more than a fragile breath. This moment, listen to me, is not just a passing point in your day. It is the boundary between what once held you back and what I have appointed for your future. I have seen the pains that have repeated through your family line across generations. The fear, the fractures in the home, the sickness, the losses that hardened your heart, the worries that seemed impossible to quiet. Some things have clung to your family for so long that everyone has begun to call them normal. Yet I have never considered your suffering as something normal, and I will never allow those cycles to keep devouring your life. Your perseverance, today, is the very flame that is burning at the roots of chains your ancestors did not have the strength to break. You are standing in the place of the breaker, the one I have chosen to bring an end to cycles that no longer come from me. The pain your bloodline once accepted as destiny is losing its power now. The distorted declarations, the old wounds, the barriers embedded deep in your family history are falling away, layer by layer, like ash. You have often asked why I have allowed you to walk through so many trials, why those around you seem to carry fewer burdens than the ones laid on your shoulders. You thought you were chosen to endure, but I chose you to transform. I chose you to be the first in your lineage who knows how to stand upright before me, how to cry out, how to break chains that those before you did not have enough light to even see. All the bitterness you once held inside was never a punishment. It has been the material I have used to forge you into a spiritual warrior, so you can alter the future of an entire generation. Every quiet sacrifice you make is engraved by me. Every time you choose to forgive, I take note. Every time you resist despair and choose to trust me, I push back another portion of darkness from your family. Not a single effort of yours is meaningless, and I will not allow any of them to fall to the ground without fruit. My beloved child, what I am about to do in your family will not stop at a small miracle meant only to encourage you. It will spread like ripples when a stone falls into the water. It will touch your health, touch the souls of your loved ones, reach those you once thought you could never help. You will see relationships healed, conversations that once seemed impossible becoming gentle and open. You will witness those you love being delivered from crises they used to endure alone. You will see the hearts of your children, your parents, your brothers and sisters beginning to seek the light. The very things that once brought your family to its knees will no longer rule their lives. The light I have placed within you will become a lamp to guide them. You do not need many words. Your life, your perseverance, the way you choose me in the midst of countless difficulties, these will become a testimony stronger than any speech. I tell you the truth. There are prayers you once believed I had forgotten. You broke down in tears because you thought my silence meant absence. You waited for the smallest sign and never saw it. But remember, I do not answer according to your timetable. I answer at the moment that is best for your soul and for the generations that follow. The words you thought had vanished into the void are now beginning to bear fruit, not in empty promises, but in concrete works I am already setting in motion in the unseen realm. You will see new paths opening, doors that were bolted shut suddenly glowing with a crack of light, relationships you believed were dead being stirred again, obstacles that once seemed insurmountable shrinking before you. You do not need to hunt for proof. You only need to keep your heart at rest so that you can notice how near this movement already is. Engrave this in your heart. There is no mistake in the span of your life whose value I do not see. Every year you called a failure, every season you dismissed as meaningless, every event you believed had stolen your future, all of it I have used as strokes in a larger painting you have not yet seen in full. Not a single moment is wasted on your journey when you walk with me. I do not allow you to live one extra day that does not contain within it a sacred purpose you need to experience. And when you believe this, you will no longer look at your life with fearful eyes, but with the gaze of one who knows they are being led step by step by the one who fully knows both the beginning and the end. My child, I know what I am saying may stretch far beyond your imagination, but do not be afraid. You have only one task. Keep your heart sensitive, and do not let distractions pull you away from the place of revelation I am opening to you. What you need does not lie outside. It is right here in this very moment, where you are sitting, where you are breathing, where you are listening to me. If you let your heart wander, you will miss what I have long prepared. But if you let it remain, if you fix your attention on me, then your prayers will no longer be mere words. They will become reality, one by one, in ways that bring you to tears as you realize I heard you from the very first time you cried out. You are standing at the threshold of an entirely new season, and I, the one who has led you through every storm, am preparing to bring you to the other shore of blessing, where favor will not only touch you but will overflow to everyone connected to your life. You are not walking alone. I am still here, and I will not stop until everything I have promised for your life and your lineage comes to complete fulfillment. My beloved, I want you to seize this truth with all your heart, even as you walk through days when everything feels jumbled, when former directions no longer fit your present, when you wonder whether you are losing something important. I have not left you for even a moment. I know there are times you look at your life and conclude you have gone off course, that what you labored to build has collapsed in front of you and slipped from your grasp. But, my child, there is no upheaval in your life that I have not foreseen, no tear that falls without being received by me. The very chaos you are facing is simply part of the process I am using to open a new door you were not yet mature enough to enter before. If your heart feels unsteady, it is not a sign that you have lost favor. It is a sign that you are drawing closer to what I have long prepared for you. Do you know why you are still here, still listening to my words, still longing to be renewed, still sensing that faint yet powerful stirring inside? It is because this phase you are in is not a forgotten interval. It is the moment in which I am turning all your waiting into a harvest, rich with sweet fruit. You think you are merely getting through the days, but I am quietly sowing into your heart seeds of perseverance, patience, depth, and maturity. When the time is right, those seeds will blossom into things you once believed you did not deserve or could never touch. I have used delay to strengthen the roots of your faith so that when I open the door, you will not merely step through, but step in with firmness and authority. You are not waiting because I am withholding blessing. You are waiting because I am making you large enough to carry the blessing without breaking beneath its weight. But my beloved, to step into that next season, you need a different kind of faith, not a faith that appears from time to time, not a faith that is present only when you are doing well, but a faith that is moved by total surrender. I need you to leave behind prayers that are merely formal, those times when you say, I believe, yet still keep an escape route in your heart for doubt. I do not blame you. I understand that old wounds make you hesitate, that the things you once asked for and did not see have made you guarded. But I want you to step into a new surrender, a place where you dare to let me touch the deepest parts of your heart that you have always kept hidden. For the transformation you are asking for cannot come while you only hand me half of your heart. Miracles cannot move in a soul divided between faith and fear. You must dare to trust me in a way you never have before, to place every step into my hands without holding back any measure of control for yourself. You still think that believing a little is still believing, but you do not realize that half-hearted faith can only open a very small door in your spiritual life. Those who only dare to step halfway will receive only the smallest things, because they cannot carry the greater things I long to give. But those who dare to offer me their whole heart, their whole way of thinking, their whole attention, those who dare to trust me even when every sign seems to disappear, will receive a reward that only heaven can measure. I am the one who blesses, not according to quantity, but according to the heart that receives. I do not withhold blessing to test you. I simply wait for your heart to open wide enough to receive what I desire to give without letting it slip away. That is why I invite you to remain until the very end, because I know many come so close to their miracle, yet walk away too soon, just because they think there is no hope left. You are different. I do not want you to be the one who gives up when the unveiling is drawing near. Do you know why I ask you to listen carefully? Because my words to you are not only to comfort you, but to guide you. Every word I speak carries direction, support, and fresh strength, but you can only recognize this when you listen as a child, letting the Father take them by the hand, step by step. I do not speak to you as to a stranger. I speak to you as a father to the child he loves most, the child I have watched over since before you even knew how to name your own sorrow. So listen to me, not with your ears alone, but with your spirit. Let every word I speak fall into your heart and become the light by which you walk forward on this dim path. I have seen everything you have tried to hide from this world. I see the times you force yourself to be strong while your heart is breaking. I see the nights you lie in a dark room, not wanting anyone to see your exhaustion, and you swallow your sobs so you will not trouble anyone. In those moments you think you are suffering alone, but I am there, right beside you, quietly wiping every tear, catching every sigh you cannot put into words. I have never overlooked a single one of your tears. Each one is a wordless prayer, a silent cry for help that I always hear. Your silence is never small in my sight. It is the most honest plea, and I have long since answered it in ways your eyes have not yet perceived. You do not realize that it is precisely those times you chose to endure in silence to protect the ones you love that moved my heart. I see the courage hidden beneath the smiles you use to cover your pain. I see how you try to stand firm so no one will worry, how you tell yourself, I just need to get through today, even when you do not believe it at all. You think those are meaningless sacrifices, but they are what caused heaven to write your name among those whom I, myself, will rise to rescue, not because you are perfect, but because you are sincere, not because you are always strong, but because you keep getting up after every weariness. These things, my beloved, are not invisible to me, and that is why I have chosen to act, not because you have pleaded so much, but because I see that your exhaustion has reached its final limit. I see that your heart has endured all the trials it can no longer bear alone. I am not stepping in too late, nor too early. I am moving at the very moment your heart begins to long for support in its deepest way. For only when you come to the end of your own strength are you truly ready for me to do the part you have always tried to carry by yourself. You do not know that it is this quiet breaking that has opened the door for me to come in more powerfully than ever before. My child, I am not coming to rebuke you. I am coming to lift you from the place where you have collapsed. I am not coming because you failed, but because you have been through so much and still kept your heart turned toward the light. I am not coming to ask why you are weak, but to say to you, at last, you are willing to let me do what only I can do, and know this for certain, once I have risen on your behalf, no power can stop the restoration I am preparing. If you are willing, I will lead you into a new chapter where your surrender becomes the door that opens into what I have ordained for your whole bloodline, not just for you alone. You have already come so far, and I still have so much more I long to give you. You only need to remain here with me. My beloved, let your heart grow very still as you receive these words, for I am placing within your soul a depth of meaning you have never touched before. What is coming will no longer be isolated blessings meant only for you, but a sacred flow weaving through your family, through homes that have begun to crack, through places where hope has been reduced to a thin glimmer, like the last breath of the day. I have seen the battles you have silently endured, the interceding prayers you have lifted up while you yourself were trembling. And now, as the time ripens, I am setting in motion movements that the natural eye cannot yet detect, so that each relationship that seemed beyond repair begins to be joined again by spiritual bonds, stronger than any breaking caused by human hands. The reunions you once believed light would never touch are being formed under my sovereign rule, and at times they will come in very unexpected ways: a sudden phone call, an unfinished apology, an awkward embrace, or simply a silence that is no longer heavy as before. All these are signs that I am renewing what you thought was dead. You have been bewildered by promises that seemed to sleep for months, even years, but the truth is that I have not forgotten a single moment. I never write a promise only to abandon it to the wind. There are words I spoke from the very beginning that were meant to wait for the exact time of their unveiling. And this very day, in the very moment you are reading these words, I am awakening promises that have lain still for so long in the deepest places of your spirit. I am carrying out a work of restoration in places where you never believed life could take root again, in families that have borne hidden wounds, in people whose hearts were once sealed shut by pain, in relationships that seem to have ended in utter hopelessness. I am arranging each broken piece, not to give you back what you once had, but to place in your hands something more beautiful, more enduring, and more perfectly timed. You still think that your journey is only about healing yourself, but the truth is that I am using you as a spiritual bridge, a bearer of light stepping into corners others do not have the strength to face. Every word you speak in surrender, every prayer that rises from an honest heart, brings heaven closer to this weary world. I want you to understand that the message you are hearing does not end with illuminating your own soul. It is also opening a door for healing to flow outward, reaching those who are standing at the edge of dryness, those who can be awakened by a single word, a single ripple of hope. You have been chosen to stand in the gap, to become a voice I can use to stir hearts that have been closed for far too long. Therefore, do not miss even the smallest moment. Your spirit is being drawn into a new rhythm, a rhythm that requires attentiveness, response, and a deliberate stepping in. If you only listen and then let these words pass by like a passing breeze, what has been sown into your heart will be stolen by the very distractions I have already warned you about. You must pay attention, take note, and guard these words as you would guard a precious seed of life. A single distraction, however small, can cause you to overlook the door I am opening right before your eyes. You cannot allow your spirit to drift in this season, for this is no longer a time for hesitation or delay. I am speaking to you not only to comfort you, but to activate what I placed in your heart long ago: courage, sensitivity, and spiritual strength you never believed you possessed. Do something very simple yet full of power. Speak out. If this touches the deepest place in your heart, do not remain silent. When you open your commonest mouth, you are not only affirming your own faith, you are also setting things in motion in the unseen realm. Every word you express, whether short or long, carries weight to shape spiritual reality. Write down what you feel, what you surrender, what you long for the Lord to do in the rest of your life. When you speak, everything I have prepared will begin to move more powerfully because you have come into agreement with heaven. You do not realize that your very act of opening up may be the blow that breaks the barriers the enemy has built around your family for many years. Surrender is not a ritual, it is power. And do not be afraid when I say, share this, because you are not just sharing a piece of content. You are opening a door for someone who is struggling in the middle of despair. There is someone about to give up, and just one small ray of light brought at the right moment will cause them to live again. There is someone crying out for me to answer, but does not know that the very message you hold is that answer. You do not see what I am preparing to do through an action that seems so small. One share, one comment, one little sign, yet it carries a spiritual wind that will touch a heart I have already appointed. The flow of healing does not belong to one person. It is sent to rescue even those souls standing on the edge of collapse. You were chosen not because you are gifted, not because you are strong, but because you know what it is to hurt, because you know how to love, because you know how to intercede for those who no longer have the strength to pray for themselves. I see the nights when you lift your voice for your family, for your loved ones, for those you care about. Even though they do not change immediately, you remain steadfast. Those prayers of intercession form a hedge of protection, a layer of light covering homes that seem to be swallowed up by darkness. Many in your family are still alive, still breathing in peace, simply because those prayers have blocked destructions they never even knew were coming. You think I am indifferent, but I am answering in ways you have not yet clearly seen. And now, you have become the one who carries that light into places that lack warmth. You once thought you were too small to change anything significant, but you did not know that I do. My greatest works through simple people, tender hearts, souls willing to listen to my voice. When you share the message, you are sowing seeds that I will cause to blossom into fruit. When you speak out, you are opening revelation for others. When you show your faith, you are laying stones that build the future of an entire generation. Do not take that lightly. One word can redirect a heart. One intercessory prayer can change a family. One small act of obedience can rescue an entire life. And I am calling you into that role not in fear, but in perfect peace, because you know I go before you. You do not walk alone, You do not speak alone, you do not share alone. I am right there, strengthening you, encouraging you, and stirring what is sacred within you. For everyone who is touched by this message through you, I will sow into their hearts what they need more than anything else: new life. Some will be healed from old wounds. Some will hear the answer they have been asking me for over many months. Some will weep because, for the first time in a long time, they feel truly reached. And all of this begins with your small decision to pay attention, to respond, and not to keep for yourself what I have entrusted to you. You are a bridge. You are a lamp. You are a river carrying blessing. You are the testimony I have appointed for this moment in time, and it is through you that the words I have spoken will find their way into hearts that are waiting for even the smallest sign to reclaim hope. Keep walking, my child, for I am doing something far greater than anything you can imagine. You only need to keep your heart soft, keep your gaze fixed on me, and let every word I speak through you become a stream of living water flowing into the driest places. You are the one I have chosen to carry this life farther than yourself. You only need to keep moving forward, and I will take care of the rest. My beloved child, do not make light of the moment you are living in right now. It is not by accident that you paused in front of these words. It is not by coincidence that your heart trembled slightly when you heard a certain sound deep inside. You think this is just another ordinary video, just another piece of content drifting across the busy stream of life that you scroll past every day. But let me tell you this, there is no such thing as an ordinary moment when I touch a person's heart. What you are hearing is not meaningless language, but a reminder I have carefully chosen to mark the beginning of a new journey in your life. You cannot see it yet, but heaven is leaning in, watching every beat of your heart, waiting to see if you are patient enough to stay until the end, to receive what I have prepared just for you long ago. You do not know that just one small choice you make right now can shake a massive spiritual gate. I see that you are tired. I see hesitation weaving between your faith and your confusion, but I also see that small light still burning within you, and with just that light, I can begin again. Do not rush past what I am sowing into your heart, because with just 1 minute of giving up, everything I have arranged will have to wait for another season. But if you choose to stay, to open your heart, even the smallest crack will be enough for me to pour into your life a flow of blessing you once thought was reserved for others, not for you. You know, in the days when you felt as though you were forgotten, the heavenly hosts were actually at work, orchestrating things beyond your sight. There are doors that remain shut because your heart was not yet ready, and there are blessings I have not yet allowed to be revealed because you were still too fragile to carry them. Everything is being prepared with a care and detail that only my love can conceive. And right now I want you to hear this clearly. You are not here to listen to a comforting story. You are here to hear a truth that will change the direction of your life. You did not stop here by chance. You were led here. You were not drawn by curiosity. You were called by me. I have watched the nights you lay still staring at the ceiling, trying to find an explanation for those suffocatingly quiet days. I see the moments you swallow your sighs because you do not want anyone to worry, while inside are questions no one seems able to answer. Do you think I did not hear your broken little prayers? Do you think I did not notice when you whispered, "Lord, I'm so tired," in a voice drained of all strength? My child, those very words shook the heavens. For I do not wait for powerful prayers. I wait for words that rise from a soul at its limit, yet still reaching out for me. And now, as you are listening to every word as though your soul needs it to breathe, I want you to know, every silence you have walked through has a purpose. I have never left you alone on this journey. My silences are not indifference. They are the soil in which I sow into you, things that only quietness can cause to take root. You thought that silence was delay, but in truth it was the time I used to clear the paths you are about to walk, so that nothing can harm you when your season of lifting up comes. I know you long to see something clearly, a sign, an open door, a definite answer. You want to see me act in visible ways so your heart can rest. But if everything were too clear, you would rely only on evidence, not on me. You would walk by sight, not by faith. And I do not want your heart to stand firm only when it can see. I want it to be courageous, even when all you see before you is darkness. For it is in that very darkness that I am working more than at any other time. My child, remember this: a seed does not sprout in the light, it sprouts deep in the dark soil. Your prayers are the same. They do not blossom on easy days, but grow their strongest in the nights when you are exhausted. Every time you say to me, Lord, I am not as strong as I thought, I pick up that sentence as if it were a precious seed and plant it back into your own life. Then one day, you will look back and understand. The moments when you thought you were the weakest became the very places where my power was revealed most fully. My beloved child, I have prepared a blessing for you in such a way that when you receive it, you will not say, "What a coincidence," but you will break down in tears and exclaim, "Only God could have done this." That blessing is very near, so near that if you step back because you are tired, it may pass right by you without you ever noticing. But if you keep moving forward, even by one small, fragile step, it will collide with your life in a way far stronger than you can imagine. You do not need to run, you only need not to give up. Place your hand over your heart for a moment and feel what I am saying. The time has come for you to stop searching for me out of fear and to start seeking me out of gratitude. The time has come for you to stop asking, "When?" and begin to say, "I trust." The time has come for you to stop seeing yourself as a victim of your circumstances and to see yourself as someone being led by a plan far greater than anything you can comprehend. And finally, the time has come for you to stop thinking you are just a small individual drifting through a vast life, because you are part of a story that I am writing, and the next chapter is opening right before your eyes. You are not alone, and you have never been alone. You are not abandoned, and you have never been abandoned. No matter how heavy the recent days have been, no matter how many times you have had to force yourself to carry on, now I am speaking to you with all the tenderness of a father. You have come far enough. Do not go back. You have sown enough. Do not let go. You have suffered enough. Your blessing is drawing near. You only need to keep walking, just a little further. And in the very moment you choose faith instead of doubt, you will begin to sense something strange, as if a thick fog that has long covered your heart is slowly dissolving. You will see more clearly, feel lighter, and rest in a deeper peace, not because your circumstances have changed, but because you have changed. You open your heart, and I step deeper inside. My dear child, take a deep breath. This is not just another paragraph in a text. This is a personal call to awakening for you. This is the moment your heart begins to recognize the guidance you have been searching for all this time. I am here. I am at work. I am making a way. And you are being brought into the very position where you need to stand in order to witness the miracle I have prepared for you. Do not stop now. I still have many things I long to say to you. A new chapter is beginning, and you are the one who will walk into it with all the light I have already prepared. You only need to remain and believe. My beloved child, you do not realize that there is a silent battle taking place within you, fiercer than any storm this world could stir up. Others only see your surface, the words you speak, your calm appearance, the way you try to smile when your heart is raging inside. But no one can measure the weight you carry. No one understands the nights when you swallow back what you cannot yet say. No one knows how each morning you have to encourage yourself just to stand up again. I have seen it all. The times you wanted to collapse but still stood up. The times you were exhausted but still chose to do the right thing. The times when pain crushed your chest yet you kept peace for others. I understand why you are this tired, why there are moments you want to surrender, why your heart sometimes trembles as if a single gentle touch would be enough to shatter it. And I want you to know, you are not fighting alone. You have never fought alone. You are carrying in your heart things that others cannot measure. Responsibility for your family, anxiety about the future, the tension between what you long for and what you feel forced to do. You pour yourself out for those you love with everything you have, even when you are running on empty. You hide your loneliness so no one will worry. You bury your wounds because you are afraid of becoming a burden. But, my child, I look straight into the depths of your heart, where there are things you have never dared to say, quiet sacrifices you make day after day, moments when you feel like a piece of fabric about to tear because you are being stretched from every side. I understand every heavy breath you take, each weary step you force yourself to keep steady. You do not have to be strong all the time before me. I am the one place where you can let everything go without fear of being judged or misunderstood. Do you know why I can say with certainty that a miracle is coming to you? Not because you are deserving in the way the world defines it, but because you have been fighting in secret in a way that heaven honors. You have remained standing in places where others walked away. You have stayed faithful in seasons when you received neither praise nor encouragement. You have persevered when all you could see were closed doors and dark roads. And it is exactly these things, these unseen things, that have set the heavens in motion on your behalf. When I say a miracle is coming, I say it with conviction, because I have witnessed the shift in the spiritual realm long before you could feel anything change. You only see the silence of the earth, but in the heavens, each link is being reset, each door is being prepared to open, each obstacle is slowly being moved out of the way. I do not say this just to comfort you for another day. I say it because this truth has long been established by me. Nothing you have walked through is meaningless. Every tear you have shed in secret has become a powerful echo in the heavenly realm. Every time you chose love instead of resentment, every time you chose kindness instead of retaliation, every time you chose to keep going even though you were tired, all of these have become seeds I have sown into your own future. You do not realize it, but you have been partnering with me in preparing the very miracle you are now waiting for. I do not only give grace, I use your own perseverance to extend my hand of blessing. I do not merely watch you strive, I stand beside you and lift you up whenever you think you have no strength left. I do not simply listen to your prayers. I gather every word, every thought, every fragile sigh, and turn them into an answer at the most perfect time. There are moments when you think you are invisible, that what you do does not matter, that your efforts change nothing, but you do not see how your small acts have created a movement far greater than you imagine. When you hold on to kindness in a wounded environment, you illuminate a dark corner where no one else dares to walk. When you choose to endure in order to protect others, you are building a spiritual wall that I myself use to shelter them. When you swallow your tears and keep caring for your family with all the love you have, you are establishing an invisible legacy that the next generation will inherit. You are not living only for the present, you are shaping the future of those who are tied to you by blood and by love. I know there are days when you feel you are merely surviving instead of truly living. You long to exhale, to rest, to have someone hold you and say that everything will be all right, and I want you to know I am that place for you. You do not have to hide anything from me. You do not need to prove yourself before me. You can weep, you can be weak, you can tell me that you are tired. I am not disappointed by such words. On the contrary, I cherish your honesty. I do not want you to endure alone in the dark. I want to step into the dim room of your heart and light a candle no wind can ever extinguish. You have lived for too long with the feeling that you must hold everything together by yourself, but I did not create you to bear the weight alone. I long to share it with you, to guide you step by step, to help you understand that the miracle is not only something that will change your circumstances, but something that will heal the neglected parts of your soul. The miracle you are waiting for is not just an event that will happen, it is a transformation that is already forming within you day by day. You will find yourself becoming more steadfast, more profound, more understanding, and more loving toward your own self. That, too, is a miracle, a quiet, hidden, yet mighty miracle. My beloved child, I want you to imagine this. Your life is like a garden, and each season has its own work. There are seasons when the ground is dry, seasons when the branches are bare, seasons when the rain pours so heavily it seems as if everything is about to be washed away. But there are also seasons when the trees burst into bloom, when the branches are heavy with fruit, when the flowers blaze with color. I am the patient gardener. I know when to prune, when to water, when to wait, and when to harvest. The difficult seasons are never useless. They are preparing the soil so that in the next season, life may multiply many times over, and you are standing right on the threshold between an old season and a new one. Do not fear this silence, for it is the very sign of a spiritual birthing. Something good is growing in this stillness, like a seed. breaking through the hard layer of soil. I do not want you to trust me only on the easy days. I want you to trust me in the very moments when you feel the weakest, because it is then that your trust becomes the most powerful flame in the spiritual realm. I am preparing for you a blessing that even you do not dare to dream of. You have sown with tears, you will reap with songs. You have walked on in weariness, you will stand firm in abundance. You have believed me in pain, you will see me in joy. And remember this, as a whisper I have placed deep within your heart. Every hidden sacrifice you have made for love, every time you chose what is good when it would have been easy to do what was wrong, every step you took that no one ever saw, all of it has been used by me to open doors you could never have opened on your own. The blessing that is coming is not random, it is the fruit of the long journey you have walked in faithfulness, even in those moments when you no longer knew what kept you moving except a fragile sliver of hope. You are not invisible before me, you have never been forgotten. And because I see everything, because I love you so deeply, I want you to prepare your heart for something greater than what you are asking for. For the miracle I am sending is not only to transform your life, but to transform your lineage, those who will live in the light of the very flame you are kindling today with your tears, your perseverance, and your love that never goes out. My beloved child, let me lead you deeper into this, with a whisper stronger than any noise around you. All you need to do is not to run faster, nor to strain to see what your natural eyes are not yet able to see, but to let your spirit come into rhythm with mine, the rhythm I have already released. Long before you became aware of it, you do not need to speculate or stretch yourself thin trying to measure what I am doing, because what I do always begins in the unseen before it touches the visible world on which you tend to rely to judge everything. The problem is that so many souls lose their Poston way, not because they lack desire, but because they focus so intensely on what has not yet happened that they forget what is quietly moving in the spiritual realm. When their gaze is fixed only on what is lacking, they will always feel as if I am silent. When they wait for proof, they will always feel left behind. And when they believe only what can be measured, they have stepped away from the very place where I desire them to stand. Faith does not operate in the bright light of evidence, but in the shadowed space of what I am preparing. Faith does not demand explanations. Faith demands position. It demands the way you choose to stand firm in the unfinished gap between the promise and its fulfillment. My child, what I see in you is not a fragile heart as you often think, but a son or daughter who is learning to stand upright in every upheaval, something not everyone is willing to pay the price to learn. There are those who, at the slightest rise of the wind, quickly lean in another direction, who shrink back at the smallest criticism, who, when they do not yet see what they want, turn away to go searching for a new promise. But you are different. You remain standing, even when your heart trembles in waves. You still hold on to what I have spoken, even when your eyes see no clear sign at all. You do not know that your choice to stand firm, just that simple act, has caused heaven to rejoice and made darkness tremble. That is not your own strength. It is not perseverance you have manufactured by yourself. It is not the strong personality that people of this world praise. It is the covering I have placed over you, a spiritual garment over your mind, your emotions, your decisions, so that no matter how the storm blows, you do not leave your post. I shelter you in ways you yourself may never have recognized, keeping your heart from growing hard, keeping your hope from being extinguished, keeping your good expectations from being stained by the bitterness of this world. If everything in your life moved only according to circumstances, if blessing came only when outward conditions were favorable, you would have collapsed long ago. For there have been days when all you could see of your circumstances were shades of gray, days when you prayed and there was no answer, mornings when you opened your eyes with a hollow feeling, nights when you asked yourself, are all the things I believe in really worth it? In those very moments, what kept you was not the strength of your will, but the breath of hope I kept breathing into your soul. It was so gentle that you did not notice it. It was so quiet that you thought you were getting back up by yourself. It was as soft as the flapping of a bird's wings, as tender as the early morning mist. Yet it was precisely what kept you from falling into the chasm of despair. I do not need to shout to lift you up. I need only to touch the deepest place in you, the place you, yourself cannot reach. I renew that breath of hope every day, just as the sun keeps rising no matter how long the night has been. There are days when you walk on without seeing anything bright ahead, yet inside you there is still a very quiet resonance saying, just keep going. That is me. When you want to give up but find yourself thinking, what if I wait just a little longer? That is me. When you have already decided to abandon that faith, but suddenly your heart is pierced by a thin ray of light that makes you reconsider, that too is me. Not so that you will live in endless longing, but so that you will know my word is still in effect and that heaven has never once withdrawn its plan for you. And it is this gentle yet unbreakable persistence that unsettles the enemy to the core. The enemy is not afraid of those who speak loudly about faith. It fears those who still believe when there is nothing left to cling to. It is not afraid of those who beg noisily. It fears those who pray in secret and do not give up. It is not afraid of those who promise to live a holy life. It fears those who are weak yet keep running to me every time they fall. It is not afraid of those who have bursts of spiritual enthusiasm. It fears those who remain steadfast on the days when their hearts feel cold. What makes darkness tremble is not your strength, but the inseparable bond between you and me, a trust it cannot break. You think you are weak, but the darkness knows you are strong. You think you are fragile, but the heavenly realm knows you are becoming an instrument. You think you are easily shaken, but I see clearly each step you take as you rise with a strength that is not your own, but mine, placed within you. And this very truth is what makes it afraid. You keep walking, even when the road is rough. You keep believing, even when your eyes see nothing. You keep praying, even when nothing seems new. You keep waiting, even when time stretches long. It fears you because it knows that once you hold your ground long enough, the door I have ordained will open, and then no power will be able to stop the blessing from pouring over your life. My dear child, I want you to understand this more clearly than anything. You are not standing firm by yourself. There is not a single moment on this journey when you are rowing your own boat alone. Even when you think you are running out of strength, it is I who keep your feet from slipping, your heart from shattering, and the breath of hope within you from going out even once. If you could see all that has taken place in the unseen, the things I have blocked, the things I have redirected, the dangers I have defeated before they could ever reach you, you would understand that your continued standing is not a miracle you perform for yourself, but the clearest sign that I am right beside you. Therefore, do not think that your faith is too small. It is not as small as you imagine. For if it were small, it would have been swept away long ago in all the storms you have been through. Look back over your life. How many times did you think you could not make it, yet you did? How many times did you think you had lost everything, yet you still held on to what truly mattered? How many times did you think your heart had died, yet something still caused you to come alive again? That is the evidence that your faith is far greater than you think. And where there is faith, even if only like a mustard seed, I can transform an entire destiny. You are standing in a season I call spiritual positioning, a place where your spirit must align with what I have already given, not with what you are currently seeing with your eyes. You do not need to run after what has not yet arrived. You only need to stand exactly where I want you to stand. You do not need to know everything I am doing. You only need to keep trusting. You do not need to manufacture evidence for others to see. You only need to know that I am the one who sees all things. And when your position is right, when your attitude is right, when your spirit is right, the blessing will not be able to lose its way. It will find you at the right time, in the right way, exactly as I ordained from the very beginning. And I promise you this with the deepest sincerity of a father's heart. As long as you do not let go of the place I have given you, everything I have spoken will come not earlier, not later, but precisely at the moment that will make you realize your waiting was never in vain. So keep standing, keep believing, keep bringing your spirit into rhythm with my heartbeat, for you are about to see what many have given up on, simply because they left their place too soon. You are not like them, and I know you will not miss it. You have come this far already, and I, myself, will lead you into fullness. You only need to remain still in me, You only need to trust the power I am already working on your behalf, and I will do the rest in a way so beautiful that you will know. Every day you persevered was worth it, down to the very last tear. My child, there is something I have quietly been touching for a very long time in your heart, that old dream you once buried as if laying a dear friend to rest. There were moments when you thought of it for a brief second and then hastily pushed it away, because you were afraid that simply remembering would be enough to make your heart ache once more. You told yourself, that is over. I am no longer at the age to dream, no longer in a season where I can start again. You looked at past failures, unfinished plans, rejections, the shaking heads, the mocking words, and you concluded, perhaps God no longer wants this for me. So you folded that dream, carefully placed it into a dark corner of your soul, pretending you had forgotten, while in reality, it still throbbed every time someone unintentionally mentioned it. Today, I am the one who reaches out to open that drawer, not to rebuke you for giving up, but to gently brush the dust from that dream and say to you, I have never thrown away what I once placed in your heart. What you thought was dead, I am now calling back to life. What you believed you were unworthy of, I am awakening so it may rise once more in a new glory. You have often looked at your age as a sentence, as though each passing year is another door closing. You compare yourself with others and conclude that you have missed the train. You look at your body that no longer feels as strong as before, at its limitations, at test results and medical reports, at the words of doctors, and you sigh, well, this is as far as I can go. You look at the painful experiences of the past and believe you no longer have the strength to hope one more time. But my child, I am not controlled by numbers on a page, not limited by red lines on a chart, and not bound by any human conclusion. I do not sit in the audience, watching people collect statistics and make predictions before I decide whether I will act. I am the one who steps right into the place where people have stamped, impossible, no way, no more hope, to show the whole world that the final word always belongs to me. You read these lines feeling as though every door has closed, yet I see this as the most perfect moment for me to do something new. For when all your own strength has reached its lowest point, when every script you have written for your life has fallen apart, that becomes the very ground where miracles can begin to grow. I do not deny the things you have gone through. I know very clearly every fall that left you afraid, every time you poured out your whole heart and still received disappointment in return. That is why, when my word comes to you today, it is not simply to soothe your sadness for a moment, but to awaken what has been asleep inside you for far too long. If, as you read these words, something deep within you trembles, even if only with the faintest stir that is not just a passing emotion, it is your spirit responding to my call. I am telling you that this journey has not ended, and what I have promised you has not been canceled just because you were slow, weak, or once gave up. You may have lowered the curtain, but I have not. You think the era of dreams has retreated behind you, while I look at you and say, I am still writing. Now I want you to do something very simple, yet carrying great weight in the spiritual realm. If your heart is opening, if you feel these words touching somewhere very deep within you, then deliberately confess what I am inviting you to step into. Take the words you can write, the words you can speak, and use them as an action of taking your stand on my side. You may write them down, you may whisper them, you may cry them out through your tears, but be genuine as you say to me, I choose to believe what you have promised for my life. Do not treat that as a pretty phrase to say. See it as a declaration from your soul. Every time you speak in faith, you are signing a new covenant with heaven. Words filled with faith do not simply disappear into the air, they expand the space for my power to move. When you come into agreement with me, you cancel out the negative words you once carelessly spoke. When you choose to believe instead of complain, you are putting a final full stop to the long days of living only by what you can see. I am not asking you to act strong, to smile brightly, to behave as if you have never been wounded before. I accept that declaration. I love you even when your voice is shaking, your hands are still wet with tears, and your heart has not yet fully escaped its fears. What I look at is not the loudness of your voice, but the honesty of your heart. If all you can say is, "I want to believe, even though I am still afraid," I already receive that as a great step forward, and from that small step, I will build things no one ever imagined. Bring your plans, your turns and detours, your worries, the paths you have mapped out or had to abandon, and place them consciously into my hands. You are not surrendering with empty words, but by beginning to ask me, "Lord, what do you want me to do with these unfinished things? Move on or stop, wait or start again." When you ask, you are inviting me to become your guide, not just a spectator standing outside your life. I never push you into emptiness and then leave you there. When you truly entrust yourself to me, I bind myself to take responsibility for your life as a father who never neglects his child. You may not understand each step, but you will one day look back and realize, every time you were willing to let go of a bit of control, I was arranging another beautiful piece in the picture of your life. My word is unlike any encouragement you have ever heard. It does not come merely to wipe away your tears for a moment, but to touch the places you have long been afraid to open, lest reopening them would only bring more pain. There are corners in your soul where you have bolted the door and labeled them, "No one may enter," places even you avoid facing. Those forgotten wounds have quietly dictated how you think, how you fear, how you look at the future. I do not come to expose them in front of a crowd. I come to touch them gently in the private space between you and me. I know exactly where you have been wounded so deeply that you no longer dare to hope again. I know the words that were spoken, the betrayals, the times you were despised that led you to believe you are not worthy of good things. Today, my word is running along those cracks, not to make them hurt more, but to pour in oil and bind them up. Perhaps you have heard, "Just forgive, just forget it, just be strong," yet those phrases, often, only, made you feel weaker when you could not do them. I do not come to you with cold commands. I come as a father who understands why you reacted the way you did, why you chose to protect yourself by burying your dreams and freezing your heart. I do not rebuke you for having lived that way. I simply tell you that you no longer need to live that way. I do not break you in order to fix you. I lift you up in order to heal you. And in that process, I not only heal your tangled emotions, but I also give back to you the capacity to dream, the very capacity I placed within you from the beginning. The dream from long ago that you thought had expired has in fact never been crossed out of my plan. Its form may look different now, no longer exactly like what you first imagined, but its essence, the meaning, the purpose, the calling embedded in it, is still there. I may lead you to a different way of living it out, a path that is stranger, deeper, quieter, yet more enduring and far-reaching. What you thought was a postponed dream is sometimes actually an upgraded dream. What you once wanted to do only for yourself, I am transforming into something that can touch many more lives. What you assumed was merely a personal desire, I am weaving into my larger design for your life, for your family, and for all those who will pass through your path. So, do not rush to close your heart when you begin to feel that dream stirring again. That is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that your heart is still alive, and a heart that is still alive is still capable of believing, and a person who can still believe can still step into the miraculous. I do not promise that you will face no more trials, but I do promise that not one of them will be meaningless. I do not guarantee that everything will unfold exactly as you imagined, but I do commit that everything I do will work for the good of those who love me. That dream, once placed in my hands, will no longer be a burden that frightens you, but a journey through which you will discover just how near I am to you. Take one more step in faith. Do not only read, do not only be moved, but respond. Speak to me. Write it down for yourself. Repeat it in the moments when your heart feels heavy. Every time you confess, "I choose to believe what you have promised," you close one more door of doubt and open a new window of hope. It is not those words that are magical. It is the one who hears them, who is at work. I never tire of hearing you say that you trust me. And every time you say it, I take another step toward you, drawing that dream nearer, clearer, and more real in your life. My child, I do not end your story at the chapter of brokenness. I always keep writing, especially in the parts you thought were the last page. Today, I am sitting with you before the page of your life and gently asking, will you let me keep writing with you? If you nod, if you whisper, yes, I believe, know that all of heaven is witnessing that moment as a turning point. You are not insignificant in my eyes. Your dream is not trivial in my plan. And no matter how many years you have lived, how many human verdicts you have faced, how many times you have heard, impossible, I still say to you, today, I can and I want to. What I have begun in you, I will not leave unfinished. My beloved, there have been long seasons in your life when the only question that kept repeating in your mind was, why is this happening to me? Why do I have to bear this? Why do so many others seem at peace while I have to walk the hard road? I hear it all. I know every time you have questioned yourself and questioned me. But my child, when you remain stuck in the word why, you can easily miss the more important question. In all of this, what am I teaching you? Where am I leading you? Pain is not the final answer. It is only the opening chapter of something deeper. What I want you to see is not only the circumstances, but my hand quietly at work in your life through those very shatterings. If you stop at resentment, you will never discover the treasure I have hidden right beneath the cracks of your life. Not a single tear that falls from your face is meaningless before me. I am not the one who brings suffering for amusement, nor do I ever use your wounds as an experiment. Every time you find yourself in a narrow place, every time you must face something that chokes you with tears, all of it is part of the process I use to reshape your heart. I do not send trouble to destroy you. I allow it to enter your life to expose what is fragile, what is still shallow, what needs to be cleansed. You call it punishment, but from my perspective, it is more like a necessary surgery to remove a seed of disease before it spreads. Surgery is always painful, but without it, death is what waits on the other side. Many times you have looked at yourself and concluded, God must be punishing me. God must no longer be pleased with me. You have locked yourself in that thought for so long that you have forgotten I am a father, not a cold judge waiting for you to fail so he can condemn you. When I allow you to pass through the rough waves, it is not because I delight in watching you struggle. It is because I want to teach you how to swim in deep waters. Someone who lives only in a shallow pond will never understand the power of the ocean, just as a child who is forever shielded from every impact will never grow up. You are not being thrown into the fire to be burned up. You are being led into the furnace to become tougher, stronger, and more refined. The cuts you feel now are only signs that I am shaping you, not discarding you. There are moments when you feel as though you have been pushed to the margins, as if I had chosen better, more deserving people to bless and left you behind. But the truth is that it is precisely those who have walked through the wilderness and endured long dry seasons who are able to hold the deep things I am about to entrust. Think about it. Can someone who has never tasted tears be tender enough to truly empathize with the suffering? Can someone who has walked only on smooth roads be steady enough to help another rise from a deep pit? I lead you on a long road not because you are less, but because I trust you to carry things that are heavier, deeper, greater. The desert you mistook for abandonment is in fact the school I have chosen specially for you. By now, you have been through enough to realize that you are no longer the immature child you once were. The days of naivety lie behind you. It is not that you cannot go back, but that you no longer belong there. You have been pulled out of your old version of yourself, out of old ways of thinking, old patterns of reaction, old ways of trusting. Returning to them would only squeeze you back into the very mold I broke in order to set you free. Like a garment that has become too tight, if you insist on wearing it, you will only hurt yourself. I did not orchestrate all of this only to let you go back to the old road as if nothing had ever happened. The road you have traveled has been far too costly for you to turn back. It may be that no one around you truly understands all that you are facing. Others may see only a few fragments and judge you based on things they themselves have never tasted. But my child, I do not look at you through their eyes. When everyone else thinks you are merely weak, I see in you a heart that has endured, that has remained standing, that has chosen not to give up. Where others see failures, I see lessons. Where they see only mistakes, I see sincere seeds that I can use. Many times you have measured yourself by the standards of people, while I have never once stopped placing my trust in you. To me, you are not the sum of your flaws. You are the one I have loved since before you even understood what that love meant. Because I trust you, I am patiently rearranging every detail of your life. You see only a few scattered events, but I see the whole picture. I am connecting things you do not yet understand. I place new people in your life. I remove from around you what no longer serves my purposes. I open doors that seem random and at the same time close pathways you once tried hard to force open. Every encounter, every change of environment, every opportunity that looks small is being used by me to reshape your course. There are relationships I allow to crack, not so that you will live in loneliness, but so that you will stop clinging to supports that are no longer healthy, and so that I may lead you into new connections that fit the new season of your life. I have not forgotten your body and your soul. I see the deep weariness in your bones, the sudden pains that flare up without warning, the times you quietly worry about your health but do not dare to speak. I also see the wounds within the cuts in your heart that sometimes make you want to withdraw and disappear. Do you think I only care about your spirit? No, I care about your whole being. I am gently touching the places you thought had died emotionally, slowly breathing life back into the areas where you had already let go. The healing I give is not only a single dazzling moment. At times it comes like the dawn, slow but sure, little by little, until one day you look back and suddenly realize, my heart is so much more at peace now than it used to be. However, all that I am doing and am about to do in you requires one thing from you. Do not cut off the flow of listening. You cannot both desire to hear my voice and, at the same time, allow your heart to be flooded with the noise of worry, comparison, bitterness, and complaint. I am always speaking, but the question is whether you are still quiet enough to recognize my voice among all the others. Whenever you allow distractions to take up space in your heart, the things I long to show you are easily buried under layers of information, negative thoughts, and careless remarks that wound you. Listening is not just about sitting still for a few minutes. It is choosing to live with a heart turned toward me, always ready to ask, Lord, what are you saying to me in this? And it is precisely in the way you keep that focus that you will witness a very special moment, like when a key is placed into a lock and turned to the exact point, and suddenly all barriers open with just a small movement. You have already come very close to that moment. You think you are still far away, but in truth your heart, your endurance, your decisions to trust me in the dark have brought you right up to the threshold where I am holding the handle. It is no coincidence that in these recent days your heart has become more sensitive, more easily moved by the things that belong to me, more able to sense what no longer fits you. That is the sign that I am gradually turning the key in your life. That moment will not be the noisy spectacle you have imagined. Sometimes it is simply a gentle shift within, a clear knowing, a door that opens softly yet with absolute certainty. From there, what I have promised you will begin to show itself more clearly. You will see direction, see opportunities, see relationships being healed, wounds in body and soul being soothed. You will no longer have to strain yourself just to believe, because you will see my footprints tangibly in your everyday life. But to reach that moment, you must keep your heart tender, your spiritual ears awake, and your gaze fixed on me, not on the waves and storms. My beloved, I say all this not to put more pressure on you, but so that you understand that nothing you are going through is wasted. Every question, every tear, every crack, every time you felt on the verge of collapse, I have seen it, counted it, and taken note of it. I do not waste anything in your life, even in the seasons when you think you are merely trying to survive. I am using them to shape a new person within you, deeper, steadier, more able to love, more able to trust. And now, as you hear these words, that in itself is proof that you are standing very near the line where the season shifts. So do not go back to old patterns of thinking. Do not keep condemning yourself. Do not assume that what you have walked through was nothing but a string of dark days. Look back on them as stones laid down as the foundation for what I am about to build. Keep focusing. Keep your heart open. Keep listening. Do not leave the path just because you are tired. for I am right beside you to walk the remaining stretch, and when that key turns fully, you will understand. I have never left you for even a single moment. It has all been to bring you right here to the place where you are mature enough not only to receive blessing, but to keep the blessing, live in the blessing, and become a blessing to those around you. My beloved child, let your heart be soft as you receive these words, because I am about to unveil a layer of meaning deeper, wider, and more sacred than anything you have ever imagined. There is someone you bring before me every single day, someone your heart has never let go of, no matter how circumstances have changed. I see that person's image in every prayer you whisper, in every tear you try to hide, in every sigh when you do not even know how to begin with words. You think that your intercession is small, that your persistence is not strong enough to move anything, but I want you to know, every word you whisper is still shaking depths that human eyes cannot see. I know that person's name. I know every fear they carry, every wound they hide, every abyss whose edge they are standing on, and I assure you, not one of your tears falls without causing movement in the spiritual realm. My dear one, there are days you pray and your heart trembles, because you do not know whether anything will change. You pray while simultaneously fearing to hope too much, because you do not want one more disappointment. Yet, in that weariness, you still faithfully speak that person's name before me. That very act has set in motion a work you do not realize is stronger than the most elaborate petitions. The cry that rises from a sincere heart without ornament, without many words, has more power than the most polished speech. You simply say, "Please touch them," but heaven hears something far greater. I trust you to do what I cannot. It is that surrender, that humble faith, that has pushed even the seemingly immovable things into a new process. And now, what is beginning to unfold in that person's life is the result of the faithfulness you have guarded through so many days, even when you had very little hope left to cling to. I have heard every word you have spoken about that person in the secret place, in moments of weakness, when you felt you had nothing to offer but your sadness. You do not know that at times your very sigh in despair has been recorded in heaven as an intercessory prayer. I never take lightly the pain you carry for another, because that love reflects my own heart. And what I am doing now is not a delayed reaction, but the answer to the hidden petitions you have been lifting up for so long. You remained steadfast when others gave up. You believed when others doubted. You stood firm when circumstances pushed you to retreat. That is what has made the difference. There are times you ask yourself, "Lord, is there still time? Has everything become too late?" I know that question has circled your heart on many nights. But my child, I want you to remember this. Time does not rule my promise. My promise rules time. When I speak a word, time itself, past, present, and future, must submit to it. No circumstance can force me to change my mind. Only I decide the moment when my word is fulfilled. And now I say to you with unshakable certainty, I have stepped into your timeline. I am loosening what has been bound for too long, opening paths that seemed frozen shut for years, aligning everything so that the miracle will take place at the appointed time. Do you think I am standing still, doing nothing? Do you think your intercessions have fallen into an empty void? No, my beloved, I have already begun to move people, to rearrange situations, to remove the walls of hindrance you could never tear down on your own. I am working in a realm untouched by natural forces, restoring what was thought lost, softening hearts you once believed nothing could move. Never interpret my silence as indifference. My silence is often the season when I am accomplishing the greatest works. And the most wonderful thing, my dear one, is that in all I am revealing and doing, you do not have to strain to prove anything. You do not have to pretend to be strong, do not have to play the hero, do not need to convince anyone that you deserve a miracle. I did not choose you because of your abilities. I chose you because of your heart. I work not because you are perfect, but because you know how to surrender. What I am doing in that person, in your family, in your lineage, does not depend on your skill or talent. The one who acts is me. The one who makes a way is me. The one who softens even the hardest heart is me. You need only to keep believing, keep bringing it before me, and keep walking forward in hope. I know you are tired of waiting, tired of hoping only to be disappointed, tired of trusting only to be hurt. I see all of these things, and I want you to know that you have not been walking in the wrong direction. Even though you do not yet see the results immediately, every prayer you have raised has been a brick laid in the foundation of the change that is coming. There are things that have not happened yet, not because they were never meant to be, but because they are being arranged in the most perfect way. And when the season comes, everything will bloom naturally, without you having to strain to force it open. Remember this, my beloved child. Change does not always arrive with thunder or flashes of lightning. Sometimes it comes in movements as gentle as a passing breeze. That person will be touched in the way I know best, not by coercion, but by a stirring from within. Healing will come little by little. The knots will loosen gradually, and both you and the person will know that this is not the work of human hands, but the work of God. You may have thought that hope was fading away, but I tell you, hope has never died. It has only been kept safe within my heart so that it can blossom at the appointed time. You think I am slow, but in truth, I am. Accelerating by clearing away everything that could harm you when the miracle appears. I am bringing you and that person into the right place, at the right time, in the right spiritual posture, so that when the change comes, nothing will be able to stand in its way. And you will witness that moment, the moment when your intercession becomes reality, when your heart breaks open with joy as you realize, I have never forgotten anything you placed into my hands. It will be the moment when that person, the one you mentioned to me day after day, begins to step into the light I have prepared. You will see that this journey has never been useless, and you will understand that every time you interceded was another step I took toward answering. My beloved child, be at peace. The work has already begun, and I, the one who has heard every breath of your prayers, will fulfill what I have promised. You only need to keep believing. The rest I have already taken care of. My beloved child, I know that deep within your heart there is something you yourself can hardly put into words. Weariness is no longer just a passing feeling. It has become a quiet habit, slipping into every breath, into every morning when you wake up and try to tell yourself that you are fine. You still work, still talk, still keep a normal appearance before others, but inside, the flame that once burned so strongly because of faith, because of hope, because of the promise I placed in your heart, is shrinking into a fragile little ember. It is not because you are weak, but because you have had to stand firm for so long. I see this. I see every movement within your soul, and that is exactly why I have brought you to this very moment, to listen, not to blame you, not to remind you of what you have not yet done, but to breathe into your heart a new breath, a life-giving spirit that no circumstance can give and that only I can bestow. You think that your discouragement means you no longer have enough faith, but in reality, discouragement is simply a sign that you have been fighting more than you realize. You have walked through territories you did not even know you could endure. You have held fast to what I told you, even when everything around you was collapsing. And I want to tell you a truth. The strongest people are not those who never grow tired, but those who dare to admit they are tired and yet choose to keep walking. That is why I do not forget you. I cannot forget you. On the contrary, I remember you intensely, not to pull you out of the battle, but to strengthen you in it, so that you may know I have never moved away from your heart, not even for a single second. Do not compare your life with anyone else's. Each person I create carries a unique heartbeat, a unique journey, a unique script that no one can copy. What I have written for you has no duplicate, and what I have promised for your life cannot be altered by any human opinion or gossip. You are not called to live according to the standards or judgments of this world. You are called to follow my voice in steps that only I fully understand. I do not move according to human agreement. I act according to the authority of heaven. And once I have spoken, no power on earth or in heaven can make my word void. Do you know why, in this recent season, everything has seemed frighteningly quiet? It is because the things appointed for you from the beginning are starting to move. When I initiate something that belongs to destiny, I often begin with silence, like a seed lying still in the soil before it pushes its way above the ground. You think nothing is changing, but in the deepest realm of the unseen, what I have ordained for you is rising up, being set into place and moving toward you. That is why hell has fought you so fiercely. That is why you feel a weariness that seems to have no clear cause. That is why you had to arrive here at precisely this moment to hear me say to you, my plan is beginning. Even if your circumstances shout impossible, remember that my yes is stronger than every denial this world can give. The promise I have placed over you does not shake just because someone doubts it, nor does it vanish simply because you have not yet seen it take shape. When I declare, it shall be, nothing can turn it into, it shall not. When I appoint that the time has come, no other timing can delay it. And when I call you into something new, you will sense everything within you being drawn together, gathered toward a single point, the point I ordained for you from the foundation of the world. You are standing in that very moment right now, even as you think you are merely watching a video like any other. But my beloved, I do not work by accident. I work by leading. I do not wait for you to take the first step toward me. I come seeking you. I have placed an urge in your heart that will not let you walk away from these words. I have given you that strange feeling as if something meant uniquely for you is lying right in front of you, waiting for you to name it. And you are right. It is here, woven into every gentle line, carrying a power that reaches into the very core of your soul. You have passed through many stages, many stretches of road that have hardened your heart and made you look at life with a guardedness you yourself do not even want. I know you are not trying to become so strong that you grow cold. You are simply protecting the parts of you that are easily wounded. But you do not need to hide those parts from me, because I have not come to interrogate you. I have come to heal you. I have not come to remind you of your shortcomings. I have come to remind you that you are still the one I have chosen, and you are chosen not because you are perfect, but because I loved you long before you knew how to love me. The weariness you have carried for so long is not a sign of weakness. It is evidence that you have been faithful in a season far harder than you realized. And I want you to know, no one arrives at glory without first passing through a stretch where they feel completely drained. Even those I used most powerfully in Scripture walked through moments of collapse. Matthew trembled over his decisions. Elijah wanted to die in his loneliness. David wept until he had no strength left to cry. Joseph was forgotten, yet each of them was lifted up by me for a purpose greater than their own life, because they did not give up in what felt like the darkest hour. You too are standing at that very point, the intersection between an ending and a beginning, between exhaustion and breakthrough. I do not want you to fear what is coming. I want you to be ready to receive it. For what I am preparing for you is not temporary. It is something that can transform your entire lineage. The choices you make today will shape the years ahead not only for you but for those you love. I have placed upon you a spiritual weight you have not yet recognized, but you will soon see it, as blessing begins to spread, as prayers you thought were forgotten are suddenly answered, as doors that once stayed tightly shut open quietly, as if there had never been any barrier. My beloved child, I want you to hear this clearly. You did not come here alone, and you are not standing before my words by accident. You have been brought here because the heavens are calling your name. I am touching your heart, bringing back to life what seemed dead within you, rekindling the desires I once placed in your soul. I am rebuilding you, lifting you up, and preparing to lead you into a new time you did not expect, a time when every impossible will fall silent. When I speak, and you are hearing these words not because you happen to stay, you are hearing them because I have touched your ears, your heart, and your spirit. I am awakening you, leading you out of the days of fatigue and into a new season, a season of confirmation, a season of release, a season of restoration. This is the moment you need, the moment I have chosen for you. You are not merely listening, you are being called. You are not merely remaining, you are being held. And I promise you, with all the love of a father, that blessing is drawing nearer than you think. You only need to keep your heart open. I will take care of the rest. My child, I am here, and I am listening. Open your heart, open your very breath, open even the deepest corners of your soul that you have kept locked for so long. Before you offer your prayer, let your heart become still like water without a ripple, so that every word you speak may become a pure stream flowing straight toward me. Lord, I bring to you the dream you placed in my heart from the very beginning. I confess that I have allowed pain, disappointment, and the words of people to quench the flame of hope within me. But today I ask that this dream be restored in your hands. Please bring back to life what seemed dead, raise up what seemed buried, and open a new path for me to walk in your guidance. I choose to believe that none of my limitations can limit you. Please speak to my heart once again and lead me into what you have ordained. Loving Father, I surrender into your hands everything I cannot control. I am exhausted from trying to manage things on my own, and now I want to release it all so that you can do what only you can do. Please cleanse my heart of every voice that makes me doubt myself and doubt you. Grant me ears that can hear your voice, eyes that can see beyond my circumstances, and a heart that knows how to trust in quietness. Please lead me in the rhythm of your will, where I no longer fear the darkness because I know you are walking with me. Lord of healing, please lay your gentle hand upon the places I have never dared to expose. Heal my body from its hidden exhaustion. Heal my soul from the nameless wounds that throb day and night. Lift me out of feelings of worthlessness, out of self-condemnation, out of memories that have left me breathless. Please replace every wound with strength, every fear with courage, and every regret with new wisdom. O God of guidance, I lay my whole future at your feet. When I do not know which way to go, please shine enough light on the path ahead for me to take the next step. When I feel lost at the crossroads, use your gentle yet powerful voice to show me which road you have chosen. I ask that you guard my heart from distraction, from anything that would draw my spirit away from you. Teach me not only what I should do, but also how to be patient as I wait for your perfect timing. Father, I thank you for the things I do not understand, and yet you still use them to transform me. Thank you for your patience with me through every mistake, every doubt, every moment when I wanted to give up. I know that not for a single instant have you been far from me. Thank you for the doors you have closed, for through them I did not wander away from the path you intended. Thank you for the tears that have helped me grow, and for the loving hand that has lifted me up at just the right time. Thank you, Shepherd of my soul, for leading me through stretches of road I would never have dared to walk without you. I thank you for the storms that once made me tremble, because they were also the places where I learned the true strength of who you are. Thank you for standing closer to me than ever in the days when I believed I had lost all hope. I offer you my deep gratitude because you have never stopped believing in me. I offer this prayer in the holy name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong and vibrant community of faith.